regularly board meeting to order. The date is December 17th, 2024. The time is 6:02. Adrian, can you, we'll start off first with, first we'll start off with a moment of silence for the Abundant Life Christians.
Item 1D, roll call. Ms. Barnes.
Present.
Ms. Borrego.
Present.
Ms. Maldonado.
Present.
Mr. Martinez. Present. Ms. Ortega.
Here.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Present.
Ms. Zuniga.
Here.
Item 1E, CISD vision and mission statements.
And at this time, I'll ask Mr. Martinez to lead us into the mission statement and Ms. Maldonado into the vision statement.
We provide equitable opportunities to ensure our future-ready students are empowered to explore, learn, grow, and excel.
Vision statement, lead today, impact tomorrow.
Thank you. Now we'll take us to the next item.
Item number 2, board honors. Item 2A, recognition of the winners of the annual Canantillo ISD Holiday Greeting Card Students Art Contest. Presenter Mr. Gustavo Rodriguez.
We're actually going to do a little bit different so that the students can perform first, if it's okay with the board.
Yeah, if we could just read both of them into the record and then we'll go from there.
Item 2B, holiday performance by the Jose Damian Elementary School Orchestra. Presenter Gustavo Rodriguez.
Board President Rodriguez, members of the board, and Dr. Galaviz, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. It's the holiday season, and we are thrilled to be here tonight to showcase the winter, to use the winter holidays as a stage to showcase the talent of the students of Canantillo ISD. We ask that you remain in your seats so you can enjoy the musical talents of our first-year string orchestra students from Jose Damian Elementary. These 4th and 5th graders have not been playing for long, but their commitment to music education is that of a seasoned veteran. Tonight, under the leadership of Damian music teacher Suzanne Dram, the students will perform a selection of holiday classics, Jingle Bells and Cradle, Cradle, Cradle. Ms. Graham and JD String Orchestra, the stage is yours. give the students a round of applause. Let's also recognize their parents for the amazing support they provide to their kids. Can any JV String Orchestra parents stand up and be recognized, please? This is the third year of orchestra at Jose Damian, and the music string program has now expanded to Bill Childress Elementary School. We know these are the building blocks that will lead to a thriving orchestra program at Cantillo High School. Board members, can you join us in front of the dais for a photo with Damian String Orchestra, please? Third year of orchestra at Jose Damian, and the first year that Bill Childress has this program. We're looking forward to the expansion of fine arts and music education throughout Cantillo High School. Every year, the Cantillo Independent School District organizes a contest among all art students in the district. Every year, the Cantillo Independent School District organizes a contest among all art students in the district to select the images that will be used in the official CISD holiday greeting cards. The result of this tradition has been the whimsical and adorable greeting cards, featuring amazing artwork from art talented students. This year, the art contest drew the attention of nearly 100 students who submitted entries into the contest. The judges were overwhelmed with the quality of work and had the hardest time selecting the traditional 3 winners. After consulting with a graphic artist who designed the card, the judges decided to select not 3, but 6 winners. Their work is prominently featured in the greeting card, which will be mailed all over the city and the state on behalf of the school district. Let's recognize the winners of the 2024 Cantillo ISD Greeting Card Art Contest. From Cantillo High School, Paulina Dargel. Paulina is not with you today, but her art teacher is Ms. Edgar and principal as well. Please come up and just grab. Yeah.
I'm on this little photo. Don't try to hide.
We're going to take a photo as well with the principal. And, yes, please.
Of course you did. You're pretending like you haven't done this before. Come on.
All right, let's set up for a photo. Let's do them all together. Let's pause. From Jose Damian Elementary School, Diego Córdoba. Is Diego's teacher here? Yes. And of course the principal as well. She's already kneeling. But
She's taking pictures. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Miss Castillo's gonna treat us all to Starbucks.
Oh, at least 2 of you.
From Castillo Middle School, Carlos Carrasco. We couldn't make it. Also from Northwest Early College, Brianna Cuellar and Valentina Montenegro. Neither one of them could be here today, but their art teacher is here to represent them as well. And I believe Mr. Clark is here as well.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Thank you for
They're both Brianna Cuellar and Valentina Montenegro.
I said he hates this.
And from Alderete Middle School, Tiana Hillin. The teacher, Ms. Ramos, is here with her as well. And principal,
Congratulations, sweetheart. Your Christmas sweater.
Wear mine, but I'm like, congratulations.
all right, could all art contest winners come up for a photo, please, including teachers and principals? I believe I see a teacher over there that's not coming up. And
Come on,
a
over here.
principal.
Pictures. Come on.
Get in the middle.
Right there.
Mr. Judge, you want to come in? You want to come in and represent your school for your students who couldn't make it? Yeah, good.
Take a shower.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right. Good job.
Thank you, everyone. The theme of this year's greeting card is transforming tomorrow together, which is receipt of our bond, and very appropriately, the printing of all cards was sponsored by Presidio, so let's give Presidio our thanks. Each winner will receive a stock of the greeting cards to take home and mail to their family and friends. So once again, let's congratulate them. A round of applause for them, please. Mr. Rodriguez, members of the board, and Dr. Galaviz, this concludes the last board honors of 2024.
That'll take us to next item.
Item number 3, open forum. Any person wishing to address the board during the period reserved for public comment at a board meeting must sign up to be heard in accordance with the district policy BEB local. Each participant will be limited to 3 minutes to make comments to the board. The board is not permitted to discuss or act upon any issues that are not posted on the agenda for tonight's meeting. For further information on these policies, contact the superintendent's administrative assistant. And Mr. President, we do have 4 members of the community that signed up for tonight. The first one is Mr. Richard Hunt on regards to the Johnny Bean horse farm.
Thank you. I'm an attorney here in El Paso, and I'm here to represent members of the community who were troubled by the manner in which the Johnny Bean horse farm was purchased. It's my understanding that this transaction was completed without board approval. That makes the contract void and the transaction in violation of state law and district policy. It doesn't matter if it was done in good faith. It doesn't matter if it's the result of an oversight. It remains an unlawful transaction. I believe board policy says any purchase over $100,000 requires board approval. This was a $6.2 million acquisition done without board approval. That is a significant oversight. And I know a lot of members of this community have a lot of unanswered questions. What were the terms of the contract? What about the feasibility of the location? Are there traffic impacts that need to be considered? Are there environmental impacts that need to be studied? Is there going to be a problem with the irrigation district? All of those questions were supposed to be answered before the transaction was completed. And members of this community were stripped from their right to voice their concerns. Now, to me, the only proper remedy is to rescind the contract and place the bond money in escrow until this matter is resolved. Now, if that can't happen, at a minimum, the ratifying vote on today's agenda needs to be tabled and moved to a later date. That way, members of the community will have their opportunity to receive 100% transparency. Now, I know everybody here on the board is serving for noble reasons. However, you do have duties as a board member. One of those duties reads, to monitor district finances to ensure that the superintendent is properly maintaining the district's financial procedures. Therefore, if anyone votes to ratify an unlawful transaction, they are in breach of their duty as a board member. And what kind of precedent does this set? It tells the next superintendent that it's okay to usurp the board's authority as long as it's done in good faith. Now, today is a defining moment for you as board members. Today, you have an opportunity to preserve the integrity of the board and to demonstrate to this community that you truly are an independent body. Thank you. Merry Christmas.
The next participant is Ms. Janet Morales in regards to the Johnny Bean farmland acquisition.
Good evening, Board President, trustees, Dr. Galaviz, and community members. My name is Jeanette Morales, and I am both a teacher in the district and an active community member. It is truly disheartening to see our district portrayed negatively in the news. A recent report in a local news outlet claimed that the community was not informed about the potential acquisition of the Johnny Bean Farm for the construction of Cantillo Middle School. However, this could not be further from the truth. The report claimed that the public had little to say on this matter, which is simply not true. There were numerous opportunities for the public to speak up, and Dr. Rico, Mr. Reveles, and administration did a phenomenal job of keeping the public informed and involved. The district held meetings on January 6th, 17th, 24th, and February 7th and 13th. At the February 7th meeting specifically, the community was informed that the Johnny Bean Farm was under consideration as a potential location with a map provided to ensure clarity and transparency. I personally attended multiple evening meetings here in this very room, CMS, AMS, and CES, where community members, including myself, were consistently given opportunities to voice concern and ask questions. When I joined the CISD Facilities Assessment Task Force, we were promised transparency, and I firmly believe the district has delivered on that promise. They have worked diligently to keep teachers, staff, students, and the community informed, involved, and engaged through the process. As an active community member, particularly regarding the bond process, I can confirm the Johnny Bean Farm in the Upper Valley has always been identified as the district's primary location of interest. During my time on the bond task force, the administration explained that Johnny Bean Farm was a prime site due to its accessible location. To suggest that the community was unaware of this information or had no opportunity to voice their input is simply inaccurate. I want to reiterate that the transparency, involvement, and communication have been at the forefront of this process. As a teacher, community member, and someone who has actively engaged throughout this journey, I can confidently say that the district has kept their promise to keep us informed and involved. I encourage everyone to seek the facts and acknowledge the hard work that has been put into ensuring this project meets the needs specifically of our students, teachers, and community. Thank you for your time and for allowing me to share my perspective. Merry Christmas.
Next participant is John Holland. In regards to, please do not extend South Straightman Road over to Gomez Road. Instead, get ingress and egress into Upper Valley Road.
Hello. Hello, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak to you. I appreciate it. My name is John Holland. I'm the president of the Strahan Neighborhood Association, which is on Strahan Road. The 50-acre property known as the Johnny Bean Horse Farm. All of Strahan Road, south of Artcraft Road, is included within the boundaries of our officially recognized neighborhood association. South Strahan Road has always been a quiet, dead-end street with lots of horses and children riding bikes up and down the street. A nonprofit organization known as Hooves of Hope Therapeutic Riding Equestrian Center provides horseback riding services to children with special needs. Our neighborhood association members are opposed to changing South Strahan Road from a quiet, dead-end street to a busy thoroughfare and building a new bridge over the drainage ditch known as the Combined La Union Lateral at the end of South Strahan Road to connect it to Gomez Road. Thousands of cars would be cutting through South Strahan Road to get to Gomez Road. Imagine what would happen when a child with special needs is riding a horse that's startled by a loud car racing up and down South Strahan Road to cut over to Gomez Road. I realize you would want a second ingress and egress from the 50-acre property. However, if you're gonna build a new bridge, build it going on to Upper Valley Road, which is a much busier street, not Little Strahan Street. And not cutting over to Mary Frances Keesling Park and cutting a road right through that beautiful park. I appreciate your listening to me and hope you all have a Merry Christmas. Strahan Road just cannot handle more traffic. Please leave it a dead end road. Thank you very much and have a Merry Christmas.
Next participant is Ms. Patsy Mendoza in regards to Dr. Pedro Galaviz.
Good evening, trustees and members of the Cantillo community. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak tonight. I come before you as a former board president, a longtime advocate for public education, and most importantly, as someone who believes in the promise and potential of our children in Cantillo ISD. As a board, you hold an immense responsibility, one that is not about any of us as individuals, but about the children we are here to serve. Your charge is clear: to advocate for the students of this district and ensure they have every opportunity to thrive. However, I fear that in recent months, this focus has been lost. Personal agendas have taken precedent over progress. Instead of working collaboratively to strengthen this school district, some members of this board, with the assistance of community members who have openly shown disdain for Cantillo ISD, have chosen a different path. They have used their time and resources to sow unfounded mistrust and create division. Rather than building solutions, they have eroded confidence. Let me be clear. I thank those who are vigilant in identifying areas for improvement. Mistakes do happen, and we must always strive to correct them. But I must also condemn the way these issues have been addressed. Instead of seeking to understand the full picture, some have assumed the worst, rushing to judgment and accusing the administration of malicious intent where none exists. Their actions have caused harm, not only to the individuals who work tirelessly for our school district, but to the very fabric of trust that binds this community together. Doubt has been sown, and it is difficult not to wonder if this intent was from the beginning. Their actions have caused harm not only to the individuals who work tirelessly for our school district, but to the very fabric of trust that binds this community. Doubt has been sown, and it is difficult not to wonder if that was their intention all along. The administration has been transparent throughout in explaining how this information shared publicly by these individuals was incorrect. I have worked closely with this administration for years, and I can confidently say their decisions are always made with the children's best interest at heart. To suggest otherwise is just not wrong, it's irresponsible. So tonight I ask you to remember why you are here. Let us not let the voices of outsiders and those with destructive agendas dictate how we serve this community. We owe it to our students, to our teachers, and to the families of Cantillo to be better. Let us set aside personal agendas, grievances, and focus on what truly matters, the success of our children. Let's come together, rebuild trust, and work collaboratively to move this district forward. because our children in this school district deserve nothing less. Thank you and Merry Christmas.
Mr. President, that was our last speaker for tonight.
That will take us to the next agenda item.
Item number 4A, special presentation on Lone Star Government Student Outcomes Goal progress. Presenter, Mr. Richard Moore.
Can we take up consent? I know there's some people in the audience, especially staff that probably would rather be home, so if that's okay with the board.
There's only one item from Trustee Ortega, was she'd like to pull November 19th, and it's.
So let's take you do want to pull those minutes? Okay. And then, yeah. So we'll pull that as there.
I'm sorry, did you say November 19th?
Yes. That was the regular. So if I could get a motion to approve everything except that item from the consent agenda, which is item 6A1G. Oh, 6A1H, okay. Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
So we're going to be approving all items except 61AH. Is there a second?
A second.
I have a motion and a second. Adrian, can you pull the board?
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Borrego?
Oh, yes, she stepped out.
Ms. Maldonado?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Ms. Ortega?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes,
Ms. Zuniga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
thank you. That will take us back to agenda item 4A. Go ahead. Thank you.
Good evening, President Rodriguez, board members, Dr. Galaviz, and the community. My name is Rich Moore, and I am the Social Studies and Advanced Academics Curriculum Coordinator for the district. Previous to that, I was a classroom teacher in high school, U.S. history and world geography. And prior to that, career military, retired. So today I want to just give you a brief introduction of LSG 3 and what it's all about. So indulge me for a little bit. So LSG 3 is College Career Military Readiness. Next slide, please. There are over 10 ways to get a CCMR point. LSG 3 is going to really discuss 4 of those. So it's definitely more encompassing than that. And also with College Career Military Readiness, a student will earn a point through various different ways that you see on the board, through SAT, TSI, dual credit, things like that, AP scores. So you may have a stellar student that gets a point in all of these categories. But for the school and for the accountability for the district, counts as 1 point. So my focus is really not on those stellar students that are just getting points all across the board. I'm looking for those students that haven't earned a point yet. Focused on the seniors, but we don't want to wait till then. It's too late to wait till the senior year. So we're trying to capture them earlier, get them a CCMR point, and then hopefully that opens doors so they can get other avenues of CCMR points. So with that, goal 3, next slide please. We've been tracking this for a few years, and we have goals to get to overall CCMR, and this is for a cohort that graduates. This is for a graduating class, the snapshot for them. So this last year, we were at 81.5, 82%, and our goal was 76. This is a good news story, CCMR right now in the district. we are on a great glide path. So far for this year, seniors, we're already at 41%, but that's without taking into account any of their dual credit classes. The AP exams they're set to take in the spring. We're just barely starting to get ACT and SAT results back in. And so that number, I'm confident, is going to continue to rise. And we are going to, I believe, meet or exceed the 82% goal. Next slide, please. And how are we doing that? On a high level one, this last year, we had a 10% increase in overall AP exams that were taken. Even better, we had a 36% increase in those students that scored a 3, 4, or 5 on those exams. And we're doing some things to place emphasis on supporting those AP, those advanced placement teachers and the students. And we have a couple things in place for that. NECHIS has been honored as a platinum school by College Board as a part of their 2024 AP honor roll. And then we have a lot of first-time students that are first in their families to get a 3, 4, or 5 or higher on the AP exams. And the 57 TIA designated teachers, that was last year. We have overall over 98 teachers that are TIA designated. So we have the best and the brightest teachers helping shape our students. Next slide, please. Dual credit. Now this one took a little bit of a dip last year. We lost some. It's hard to get dual credit certified teachers. We have a couple things in place for that. One is CREED. CREED has a scholarship that we use to help reimburse teachers that want to become dual credit certified. And so we have 5 in the pipeline for that right now. And we're identifying courses that they will teach when they complete the program. And that's just one of the ways we're doing, try to increase our dual credit opportunities. With this senior cohort right now, we are already where we were last year. So I'm confident that after the fall semester and then the spring semester, that number is going to grow. We're getting back on track with dual credit. Next slide. I just wanted to give, a lot of times people are like, well, we have NECHIS, the early college, and a lot of people are in the false impression that that's where to go if you want dual credit, you want college credit while you're in high school. I put this slide in to let you know there's lots of avenues. You can go to Cantil High School and take all of these courses to get dual credit. And we're looking to expand. On the next one, the next slide, this is where we talk about some of the offerings, how we're trying to expand that. One, UT on-ramps chemistry class through UT Austin. NECHIS has had it for a number of years and they've had great success with it. Working with Ms. Marufo, we've brought that, this is the first year we're bringing that to Cantil High School, and so far we have the interim reports I got from UT Austin. All of the students in that course are at grade level for college, and over half of those are categorized as extended opportunities, which means that UT Austin is saying they should be given opportunities to extend their learning. They're doing so well. Great news. They're doing well. This is the first year for that. So it's got me a little bit nervous making sure we implement it right. And with Ms. Marufo leading it, we're doing that. Why dual credit? A student that takes one dual credit class is 4 times more likely to attain a 4-year college degree. I think that's powerful. And finally, on this one, dual credit, AP, all of our advanced academics, it's open to any student in the district. We don't close our doors to anybody, and we want to open it. We want those classes to be representative of our community. Next one, please. Okay, so the SAT, ACT, TSIT. too. Those are put together for a reason. So the TSIA is a college readiness test that we give, and it has an English language component, an essay component, and a math component. They have to pass all three to be considered college ready. When they get that college ready designation, they can then take dual credit classes. So that's important. We don't want to wait till they're seniors for that. We want to get them earlier. And so if there's a way to get that CCMR point, let's say a student didn't pass TSIA math, but they did the reading and the essay portion. But then they take the SAT and they get a 530 or better on the math. You put those together, they get a CCMR point, they're ready. If that makes sense. So there's different combinations that can take. And we're well on our track to improve those numbers and meet our goal. I'm confident we will. They just based on previous couple of years of effort with this. And how are we doing it? Well, we're focusing on those students that haven't passed the TSI yet. Because if they haven't passed the TSI, the odds are they're not taking AP classes. They may or may not be doing an IB program through CTE, getting that industry-based certification. So we're focusing on that. We offer a number of boot camps, which are 3 or 4 day cram sessions, and just give them good strategies and get their mind thinking about what's on the TSI test. And then we test them. At CHS, we're giving the TSI at least monthly, opening it to all students that want to take it monthly. And we're communicating that with parents. We're sending out reminders, call outs, emails to let them know as well. But we're not waiting until they're seniors and we realize they haven't taken and passed the TSI. We're focusing really down at the 8th grade level. And we're finding a lot of success in the fall with the English 1 students, for example. They are passing the ELAR and the essay component at an amazing rate. Almost all students are passing all of it or at least one component. And then in the spring, we include the Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 students in there. Because they really need a little bit more of that math foundation. The fall's not the right time. So we're targeting them earlier, opening up more doors. 1, so they can go to Natchez. 2, they can go to Canyon High School and start taking dual credit classes right away. And that supports our PTEC program, which they need to start taking those classes as a freshman. And that's the dollars and cents class that CTE started this year. Part of that class, it's personal financial literacy and some other things, but part of that is they are taking a study program for the TSI, and they take the TSI as part of that class. And we just administered that last week on Thursday afternoon. Next one, please. The industry-based certification. So this is CTE's lane. And for the CTE, for the IBC, the industry-based certifications, that's happening now. And those students really won't receive that certification, those seniors, until the springtime. So right now, I don't have a percentage, but working with Ms. Andrews and Mr. Porras with CTE, we're confident that we're on track to meet it, if not exceed that goal. And final slide. Last year we started PTEC, the PTEC pathway. This year they're sophomores. So that cohort, we really won't see those percentages until they graduate. Now we have the second cohort in. Some lessons learned, how to do things a little better, set the students and the teachers up for even more success. And we're on a good glide path for that. I think the PTEC program is going to continue to grow. Industry-based certification, 239 of last year's graduates received industry-based certification in a lot of different areas, and they're looking for more areas to grow. Basically, we're not satisfied where we're at with the AP classes we offer, the dual credit classes we offer, the CTE pathways. Dr. Arnold, anything?
Any questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Ms.
Yes,
Montero.
ma'am.
At what grade level do they begin testing? Because you say you don't wait till they're seniors.
8th grade.
At 8th grade?
8th grade, and that's, if you go back, to slide 9, please, Adrian. On the second bullet, we're targeting them, those students that may be potential college ready as 8th graders, which to me is pretty powerful when you say that. And we're looking at, but it's just certain classes. It's not across the board we're testing. We open it up for any student that wants to challenge it, but it's geared towards those English 1, Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Honors English classes. We're finding that that's where the most success is. But anyone that wants to challenge the TSI at that level, we open it up and we welcome it, because at least then they get familiarization with the test. They see what it's all about. Well, so last year, doing this from CMS, AMS both, about a third of those 8th graders are college ready. And not all of them are going to Netches. A lot of them are going to Kentucky High School, so we're opening those doors early for them.
So these are the AP classes that are being offered at the middle schools, right?
But we call them honors classes.
Honors
But
classes.
yes, yes,
So
ma'am.
if they're enrolled in those honor classes, then they're eligible to take the TSI at 8th grade, correct?
We open it for any 8th grade student that wants to
Any.
take it, but we focus on those classes just because they have the highest propensity to pass.
So the ones that are not in those classes would be challenging the test.
We open it up and we welcome them in. And we give that twice a year, once in the fall, once in the spring at each campus.
Any other questions? No, if not, I would like to comment. I know over the years what we focused on after the early college high school was how can we infuse that model into the high school in regards to dual credit and a lot of this college coursework, and that's what we're continuing to see to grow. Not only that, the research is showing, before I believe it used to be that if they had 12 credits, more than likely they were going to attain a bachelor's. And
Yes, sir.
interesting, I see that when you mention if they even have one dual credit that they're 4 times likely. So the goal is to continue to build that capacity and provide that on a not K-12, but in secondary, which we want to continue to lead in that. So thank you for what you all are doing in our district.
Thank you, sir.
Can I make a real quick comment too?
Yes, ma'am.
Just having a graduate, I graduated 2 years ago. I'm surprised you didn't touch into the financial part of it. You save parents, by kids taking these classes, you save parents a lot of money because they don't have to take them in college and pay for them. So
That
I'm
is true
grateful
too.
for that as well.
Absolutely. There's a lot of positives that come with it,
Yes.
for sure.
Thank you very much for all your.
Thank you very
I'd
much.
like to add a comment. I'd like to applaud your effort. I think this is tremendous growth that we've seen. And at the 8th grade level, I know you had some students that go for summer camps. And that push and that drive really is what makes them successful. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. I will take this to the next item.
Item 5, Board of Trustees business. Item 5A, discussion and action to elect board officers under policy BDAA. Presenter Armando Rodriguez.
Is there any motion to, or is there any nominations for president?
Sure. I would like to nominate Trustee Borrego for president.
Okay, and is there a second?
I would like to second that motion.
Is there another nomination?
Mr. Chair, I want to nominate Mr. Armando Rodriguez again for board president, to continue as board president.
And is there a second?
I'd like to second that. But first of all, isn't there a motion in order? Can we vote for that?
You could vote for it. Are you accepting the nomination as president?
No.
Well, with that, if she doesn't accept the nomination for president,
I don't think you can elect her then.
so then do we just go with the second motion?
Yes.
Okay. Since she declined the nomination, we'll go. Is there any other nomination? If not, that will take us to Adrian. Can you pull the board?
I'm sorry, sir, who was the second for this motion?
I believe it was Mr. Martinez.
All right.
Thank you. Ms. Barnes.
No.
Ms. Borrego,
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado,
Yes.
Mr. Martinez,
Yes.
Ms. Ortega,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Zuniga,
Yes.
motion passes.
And that will take us to, elections of vice president. Is there any nominations?
Mr. President, can I make a comment? One of the things that we saw this last time, this board ran for office, I think several people the people wanting this community for office, I saw for the very first time how people came out and voted. And it was very, very clear how they voted. They knew who they wanted to lead this district. And I would like to nominate Ms. Lily Padilla as vice president. Lily Maldonado, I know her from Lily Padilla since high school. Ms. Maldonado to run to be vice president of this board.
Is there a second? Second. There's a
I
motion.
will second.
And is there another nomination?
I would like to nominate Ms. Borrego as vice president.
And is there a second?
I'll second it.
And is there any other nominations? If not, we'll go with the first nomination. Which is Miss, excuse me.
For the record, Lily Padilla Maldonado.
Lily Padilla Maldonado, sorry.
Who seconded the first motion?
Okay, we have to go on the first one and the second.
I second the
And
first one, Mr.
Lily,
Agent.
before that, Lily, do you accept your nominations? And
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Barnes,
No.
Ms. Borrego,
No.
Ms. Maldonado,
Yes.
Mr. Martinez,
Yes.
Ms. Ortega,
No.
Mr. Rodriguez,
yes.
Ms. Zuniga,
Yes.
motion passes.
That will take us to secretary. Is there any nomination?
I motion Ms. Borrego to be secretary.
Second.
I'll second.
That will take us to, is there another motion?
I'd like to make a motion to elect Ms. Zuniga as secretary.
Is there a second? Is there, Ms. Zuniga, do you accept? Is there any other nominations? No? Then that will take us to the next, item, which is to vote on the first one, which is
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Ms. Borrego,
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado,
Yes.
Mr. Martinez,
No.
Mrs. Ortega,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
yes.
Ms. Zuniga,
Yes.
That will take us, the motion, so congratulations to, the board officers, and I would like to thank those, board officers that have served with me in the past. And we're gonna continue to work on, really bringing this district together. Not only are we looking at, we have evaluation tool instrument, Lone Star governance, other ways where we're gonna continue to grow as a district, and I'm excited with all of us continuing to focus on what matters, which is our kids. Thank you. That will take us to the next item.
Item 5B, discussion and possible action to authorize the administration and the board president to sign all documents necessary to complete the transaction for the purchase of the property described as 20.184 acres of unimproved land known as Cimarron Canyon Unit 8, El Paso County, Texas. Presenter Steve Blanco and Rudy Mata.
I believe Mr. Blanco is out of town, so we'll allow Mr. Mata to join us at the dais. And I'll pass him.
Good evening, members of the board president, Dr. Valadis. I'm going to present this item by way of a timeline regarding the subject contract that's for consideration. Just by way of, again, of background, at the June 10 regular board meeting, the subject land was discussed and presented to the board. Action was taken to authorize the administration to proceed with letters of intent as discussed in closed session. From June through mid-September of 2024, a letter of interest was negotiated. The parties engaged in these negotiations through their respective brokers and attorneys for the purchase of the subject land. The price negotiations resulted, I believe, in the best price possible, especially given that land this size in the general area is pretty rare, and that the sellers could have probably sold it to a higher price to the buyers. The location is pretty good and is in line with the size and the location that would serve the district's needs. In September 19, 2024, a letter of interest was signed. From September through mid-October 2024, the parties engaged in negotiations for a purchase and sale agreement through their respective brokers and attorneys for the purchase of the property. The negotiations were in line with the letter of interest that the parties signed earlier. The parties signed the purchase and sale agreement, and earnest money was deposited with us, West Star Title on October 17, 2024, which is the effective date of the agreement. October 17 through February 14, 2025, in accordance with the agreement, that is the inspection period. The administration, with the assistance of its consultants and other professionals, are currently undergoing due diligence activities regarding the property to include title review, obtaining a survey review, zoning verification, and environmental due diligence. The agreement during this time can be terminated by the administration for any reason and at no risk to losing the owner's money. The end of the feasibility period is February 14, 2025. After that date, then the earnest money becomes at risk. And currently, the closing date is scheduled for March the 3rd, 2025. On behalf of the administration, a recommended motion to approve the purchase and sale agreement is as follows. Motion to authorize the administration on behalf of the district to enter into and perform its obligations under that certain purchase and sale agreement dated October 17, 2024 between the district as buyer and Hunt Communities Development Co. Roman numeral 2 LLC, a Texas limited liability company, as seller for the purchase of real property described as approximately 20.194 acres of unimproved land known as Cimarron Canyon Unit 8, El Paso County, Texas, for district use. To authorize Armando Rodriguez as president and or Dr. Pedro Valadis as superintendent of the district to sign such agreements, documents, and instruments as may be required under such contract. To authorize the secretary and or vice president of the district's board of trustees to execute a certificate of meeting minutes in relation to such agreement, and to authorize the closing of the purchase of such real property by the district in accordance with the agreement.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, if I may. So, Adrian, for the record, historically, according to the motions mentioned by legal, so thank you for that, on June 10th, and then also on July 23rd, we did give approval to continue with those letters of intent and negotiations, but it was stated that obviously those contracts would come back before the board for final approval for us, along with all of the details of that. So in the past, historically, the appraisals, the contract terms, due diligence, we don't even know what the contract negotiation price is. We haven't seen the appraisals of this property. All of those details that really should come before us before we vote on this has not been presented. According to Texas Education Code, Chapter 11.1511, the Board of Trustees' duties include monitoring the district's finances to ensure that the superintendent is properly maintaining the district's financial procedures and records. I don't know how we can do that without the due diligence and the information that we need to I guess, compare that to. We also have policies and board operating procedures in place, such as on page 32 of our board operating procedures, it says that the acquiring and holding of real and personal property in the name of the district is the duty of the Board of Trustees, not the superintendent. So we need to make sure that we know all of the details of these properties before we give them approval to go forward. I feel like the law is very clear in regard to the way that this is supposed to be handled, and I personally don't feel comfortable voting on something without the information that we were promised was going to come back to us. One of those motions was in fact my motion for the letters of intent, because the pieces of property that we're looking at are the preferred pieces of property that we've discussed through the committees and everything that was mentioned tonight. All of that is correct, but it's still our job as trustees to make sure that what we are approving, we are in the loop in regard to all the details of it, and that has not happened. So because of that, I would like the details that we're missing in order to make an informed decision tonight. We do also have in our board operating procedures that in order for us to make basically informed decisions, it is required for administration to ensure that all information has been delivered to us 4 days prior to the board meeting. I did request this information with administration, and I was told by Board President Rodriguez that I could come during office hours to view those documents, and I feel it's completely unprofessional. If we as a board are supposed to be informed of all of these things, I shouldn't have to come down during my work day to view documents that should be given to us here at the board meeting to make an informed decision. So because of that, I'm asking that the board not vote on these two properties tonight, but therefore postpone both land acquisition proposals until all required information has been presented to the board, and so that we can make well-informed votes and it follow procedure the way that it's supposed to be done. That's my motion.
With that, I do have, in regards to transparency, one of the things that you comment and what we wanted to be was fully transparent, because this would have been done in executive session at first. So if you have questions about that, we can go into executive session and address those issues. But in regards to our concern is, and the email I sent to you was that the responsive documents you request are available to review. Please know office, and I let you know the office hours. Information related to the pending transactions are not yet public, therefore not attached to the board book. And this is not to be shared. Be aware that not only some board members, but myself have shared our concerns that regarding your information, of sensitive information being shared with the public is a concern, and that's why we went with this process. And trying to be fully transparent with the community. So if you have questions in regards to the appraisal, then that we could go into executive session.
Yes, we should do that.
Okay, then let's go into executive session.
Mr. Mata, may I suggest the board that we take up our,
the pending item?
the sale of land that is supposed to be scheduled?
Well, this is, in regards to that, and I'm gonna ask for the board to actually release the documents, because on the January 23rd, it is clearly evident that it's best I go into executive session before I talk about the information, so it can be released to the community for full transparency.
So can, I guess, since
Executive session, pull this into, she's going on this item, so we're just gonna go into executive session on, she's pulling both.
Can we do executive item for?
It's gonna be for the three of them.
For three, okay, thank you. Just the two? Ratification has to be off, okay, then just the two.
Can I clarify something? Can you clarify something for me, please? So we are scheduled to already go into executive session? No.
Yes, we
That-
can. Yes, we are scheduled.
On the agenda.
On the agenda, we could
So my
postpone these
question,
agenda items till we go into executive session.
so my question is, right now, you're pulling 2 items that we're going to discuss, correct? Are we gonna also go ahead and discuss 7?
Yes.
Thank you.
So we go through all the agenda items and then we go into
Well,
executive session?
I'm trying to see what agenda item, I have questions on the minutes, so we can wait on that one, so on the consent agenda. And I think the other items can wait. Let's go into executive and then come back, so that way we can address these issues.
So just to be clear, you've identified just those 2 items to go into executive session?
So,
That is already in the agenda as executive session.
which is
Item
other
7.
real property.
I'm so sorry, may I say something really quick? Am I allowed to? Am I allowed to say something or not, because it's executive?
If it's a public comment in regards to this agenda item, you can, but if it's an, issue with, the land that deals with appraisal or, any of that information. But if you have a comment, you can.
It is, but it has nothing to do with like the exact details. So is it okay?
I believe so.
I didn't quite catch
He
that.
wants to comment on the agenda item, not necessarily the issues that we're going into executive session before we go into executive session, which is our student representative.
Oh, sure.
Go ahead.
Sorry, to be quick, but I understand the rationale why you're waiting for executive session and maybe why it wasn't as transparent as the community wanted it to be. But I think nonetheless, at least in my opinion, if you bench this issue until the next meeting, then you'll be able to still continue with your plans while giving the community the time to feel that they have been heard and represented. And I'm not doubting your intentions in any way whatsoever. I'm just saying that that might be the best way of action to make sure that the community feels comfortable with this transaction.
Time is 7:10. Item number 7, executive session. To consult with attorney under sections 551.071, 551.072, and 551.074 of the Texas Government Code. 7A. Discussion regarding potential sale of district-owned real property. Presenter Blanco Rudina.
Item 5B, you've already explained the first part. Do you all want to repeat it? Or do you want to go over with the motion that would
Mr. President, what I suggest is I just read the motion. The motion presupposes that the board does now have full information about the transaction as discussed in the closed session. And so the motion simply, well, I can read it again, and I read it previously. And what I suggested the next item to do the same thing.
Can you just reread the motion? You can see if the board is okay with,
Yeah, each one, please.
Yeah, yes, sir. We'll take them one at a time. So with regard to the purchase of real estate from Hunt Community Development Code, Roman numeral 2 LLC, this is the 20.194 acres of land in Cimarron Canyon, Unit 8. On behalf of the administration, I would make the following recommended motion for consideration. Motion to authorize the administration on behalf of the district to enter into and perform its obligations under that certain purchase and sale agreement dated October 17, 2024 between the district as buyer and Hunt Communities Development Code, Roman numeral 2 LLC, a Texas Limited Liability Company as seller for the purchase of real property described as approximately 20.194 acres of unimproved land known as Cimarron Canyon Unit 8, El Paso County, Texas, for district use. To authorize Armando Rodriguez as president and/or Dr. Pedro Calaviz as superintendent of the district to sign such agreements, documents, and instruments as may be required under such agreement. To authorize the secretary and/or vice president of the district's board of trustees to execute a certificate of meeting minutes in relation to such agreement. and to authorize the closing of the purchase of such real property by the district in accordance with the agreement.
Is there, somebody want to repeat that, or I move?
So moved.
So move, and there's a motion, as recommended by our legal counsel, and is there a second?
I'd like to second the motion.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. At this time, we'll take, action on it. Oh, can I, in regards to your motion, can we include making public the June 2024 CBRE presentation and the July 23rd, 2024 presentation public?
Do we agree
Yes.
to that? I'm fine with that.
So you're gonna amend your motion and you're okay with amending?
I'm okay with, yes, correct, we agree.
Thank you. That will take us to, hold the board, sorry.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Ms. Borrego,
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado,
Yes.
Mr. Martinez,
Yes.
Ms. Ortega,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Zuniga.
Yes.
Motion passes.
That will take us to the next item.
Item 5C, discussion on possible action to authorize the administration and board president to sign all documents necessary to complete the transaction for the purchase of the property described as 25.0202 acres Enchanted Hills Unit 7, El Paso County, Texas. Presenter Rudy Mata.
Thank you. On behalf of the administration, I would also like to make a recommended motion on this item as follows. Motion to authorize the administration on behalf of the district to enter into and perform its obligations under that certain real estate contract with the effective date of October 28, 2024 between the district as buyer and EP Trans Mountain Residential LLC, a Texas limited liability company, as seller for the purchase of real property described as approximately 25.202 acres of land to be platted as Lot 1, Block 48, Enchanted Hills, Unit 7, El Paso County, Texas, for district use, to authorize Armando Rodriguez as president and or Dr. Pedro Calaviz as superintendent of the district to sign such agreements, documents, and instruments as may be required under such contract, to authorize the secretary and or vice president of the district's board of trustees to execute a certificate of meeting minutes in relation to such contract, and to authorize the closing of the purchase of such real property by the district in accordance with the contract.
Is there a motion to approve?
I make motion to approve.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, Adrian, can you pull the board?
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Ms. Borrego,
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado,
Yes.
Mr. Martinez,
Yes.
Mrs. Ortega,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Zuniga.
Yes.
Motion passes.
That will take us to the next item.
Item 5D, discussion and possible action to approve and ratify the contract for the purchase of the property known as Johnny Bean Horse Farm. Presenter Rudy Mata.
Okay, board, once again, in accordance with the discussions during closed session, I'd like to propose a motion on behalf of the administration for consideration as follows. Motion to authorize the administration on behalf of the district to enter into and perform its obligations under that certain commercial contract, improved property, with the effective date of July 11, 2024, as amended between the district as buyer and Johnny Bean Horse Farm, Inc., and the John B. Family Trust created under the will of Anna Jackson Bean, deceased, as sellers for the purchase of real property commonly known as the Johnny Bean Horse Farm and municipally known as 6201 Strahan Road, El Paso, Texas, for district use, to authorize each of Armando Rodriguez as president and or Dr. Pedro Galaviz as superintendent of the district to sign such agreements, documents, and instruments as may be required under such contract, to authorize the secretary and or vice president of the district's board of trustees to execute a certificate of meeting minutes in relation to such contract and to approve and ratify all acts of the superintendent and the district's officers, employees, and agents taking in furtherance of the transaction contemplated by such contract to include the closing of the purchase of such real property by the district.
Before we motion, may I make a comment? I think, it's very important, as this comes up to vote, that we're all aware here, the media, the community, that we need a fact check. We need to make sure that we look and do our due diligence at what's real, what's not real, and we're not lawyers. We are human beings trying to do the right thing up here by kids. And so I think that it's very important that we are aware of what we're doing and get those facts. One of the things that I want to stand clear is we have an amazing company that we've been working with, Presidio, who's done a great job on this bond, and their basic services do not include land acquisition. And it was reported in the media that this was on them. It wasn't. They do not, I want to repeat that, Presidio is not responsible for land acquisition. So I wanted to be clear on that because many times we put blame where it shouldn't be. And so until you see everything and get to verify everything that we do, then we make our decision. And every single person on this, in this dais, on this board, is going to make a difficult decision, you know, and we're going to do it on the best of our ability from the facts that were provided to us.
Can I get a motion first and a second? Is there a motion to approve?
I will motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Go ahead.
So my comment is that we heard that the community was not involved, but yet on the other hand, we heard where members of the Bond Accountability Task Force and CVAC attended various meetings, myself included, before I was a board member, where in fact the community did have a voice. This was presented, this was looked at as the #1 site that was discussed. And on February 7th, we, the committee, voted as a recommendation to the board for the bond projects, and this was one of the sites. So there was community input. There were over 60 members on that task force, from community members, from parents, from staff, to business people. And so I just want to clarify that in fact, there was community involvement and engagement.
Is there anybody else? No? I have asked for a timeline to be, because I believe that's important for us to be fully transparent, especially when this information was provided to the community. And just a quick, in regards to the February 7th meeting, the June 10th and the July 23rd, Ms. Barnes, were you present? With that, we'll provide that information because it's important for us to be fully transparent as we move, not only in transforming our community, but doing what's right for kids, and that's what we believe in this community, and we're going to continue to do that. If there's nothing else, Adrian, can you pull the board?
Ms. Barnes?
No.
Ms. Borrego?
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mrs. Ortega?
No.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Zuniga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
I'll take us to the next item.
Item 5E, quarterly update from Presidio, Presenter Ernesto Ortiz.
I do have a PowerPoint presentation that you have probably before you, so I'll go ahead and get started. If I go a little bit too fast, please tell me. Good evening, Board President. What's
At this time, you're good.
Okay, good evening, Board President Rodriguez, Dr. Galaviz, members of the board. My name is Ernesto Ortiz. I am the Program Director for Presidio for the Bond Management Company. I have here with me Irene Nigaglioni. She is the design consultant from IN2. The purpose of our presentation here tonight is to provide a quarterly update on the progress of the bond program. And that's my whole intent, is to show you how we've progressed since the last quarterly update, some of the challenges that we have encountered and overcome, as well as the next steps moving forward. So if we go to the next step, you got the right slide. I want to make sure that for the new board members, I introduce my team. Again, my name is Ernesto Ortiz. Ms. Negaglione, she is the president of IN2. She's our design consultant with 31 years of experience. Alongside her, Peter Aguilar. He works with IN2 as well. He's got 10 plus years of design and construction management in large projects that benefit communities. I also have Anthony Mariscal. Anthony Mariscal is our construction manager. He has over 20 years of program management globally. He's done projects from Kuwait, Florida, different areas of the United States. I have David Martinez here. He was the cost accountant on the largest bond project in the region to date. And then last but not least, I have Karina Heredia here. She's got more than 12 years of public purchasing experience and is a certified Texas school business official. The only change we've had since the last quarter is that we have changed our communications manager. Ms. Rose Lucero is no longer with Presidio. We have hired Pamela Soto. She's coming to us from the Housing Authority of the City of El Paso, and she will join us on January 6th. Our program coordinator, Raquel Vitar, could not be here this evening, nor could our project manager, Alec Kleinhans. But I hope to introduce you to them at a community meeting or another board meeting. We have two positions that are still vacant. One project manager that we will add on once we begin construction on the renovations, and then an FF&E person, a furniture, fixtures, and equipment design person that will join us later on in the program. So if we go to the next, I wanted to provide a kind of a high-level summary of the bond program. The slide that you see shows that each project, and it has specific budget information for that project. It also has who's been assigned as the design team along with the construction team that is providing construction manager at risk services. We've also listed the dates that we issued notices to proceed with the design teams. So now we have entered the schematic design phase. We've got 10 projects in the schematic design phase, as you can see. And then we have 2 other projects that are in the construction phase. The technology upgrades that were performed at Reyes Elementary have now moved to the closeout phase. And then we have the lighting at the baseball and softball fields. That's about 33% complete of the construction phase. They've poured concrete bases, and we're waiting for some materials to come in for the poles. But we began to do the Wi-Fi upgrade out there because these lights are going to be very interactive lights. So the timeline that you see in front of you has milestones that we've achieved since our last quarterly update, which was in September. So we had both the architect professional services. We also had the general contractors that are going to be performing construction manager at risk services approved by you, the board. We issued notices to proceed so that they could get started in September. We began to award contracts to those in October, and shortly after that we began to have design kickoff meetings, because it's very important for us that during the schematic design phase is the best time to get a lot of community input. So at each project we've had at least 2 community meetings, one big community meeting with a specific campus committee, and then we've had steering committee meetings with the school staff, students, and community. We have entered the schematic design phase, and I'll give you a little bit of update of what that is. Okay, so if we go to the next one on the schedule and update, if you go back to that part. So you see that we have 10 projects that are in the schematic design phase. The schematic design phase is really the phase where we start to develop the project program. So Ms. DeGaglione has worked with the architects alongside of administration on developing the program with ED specifications, which takes your education philosophy into account and really begins to build that into physical space. So as these architects and design teams are beginning to analyze all that information, they begin to start putting that into a physical drawing called, the preliminary schematic design drawings. What's exciting about that is we have a couple more meetings with each project around the January 7th and 8th. We're going to have a big community meeting where we're working with your public information office to have a big community meeting either here or at Canopio High School, so that we invite everyone that we can from the committee. We're going to have all the architects set up with their specific project to provide information to the committee. And then on January 28th, in the regular board meeting, the architects are going to bring those schematic designs to you to present. Okay. On the project budget side, on the program budget side, I have an overview slide, but if you can go to the next one, it'll show you actually specific projects and what investments we've made so far. So it's important to note that we did technology upgrades at Reyes as a very primary project that we wanted to do to enhance the security of that. There were a lot of dead spots within that building where Wi-Fi was not accessible. I'm happy to announce that we have completed that project. We're running through the closeout with the school on that one. We've also set aside some money and put it to use in the WebEx security system for the school. So the WebEx security system is a centralized phone system that's district-wide that puts you into compliance with Alyssa's law a full year ahead. So the TEA mandates that you're in compliance with Alyssa's law by 25-26. We're going to be ahead of that curve. It also puts us in compliance with Kerry's law, which requires like a multi-line telephone system to allow users to dial 911 without the prefix. That is also a silent panic alert technology that's integrated into that system, and we pulled that from the scope with the primary reason of safety is paramount in the program. And so those are so you see what we've encumbered to date is about almost $16 million, and then what we have paid to date so far is about $7.8 million. If you go to the next one, we want to thank you for your approval tonight on the land purchases, because that keeps us on schedule. So we are still on schedule to open up Canopio Middle School, Alderete Middle School, and Davenport Elementary School in the fall of 2027. Northwest Early College High School, we want to open it up in spring of 27, and then all the renovations will be complete prior to the spring of 2026. Okay. So on the next one, you can see what we've done to date through either board meetings when we come to you for board approval, and we do appreciate your involvement in this. It's very important for us to get your leadership and so that we have our marching orders and we execute. We've done some coordinations, thank you, Trustee Borrego. We are not directly involved in land negotiations. That's not what we do. We sit in on the meetings, we make recommendations, but we're not involved in that negotiation. We've done safety security assessments. We've done all of the Musco lighting coordination, which is on schedule. We're hoping to cut ribbons on February 7th when AMS will play CMS under the beautiful lights of the baseball field. We've had a lot of community meetings specifically on design, and that's why I wanted Ms. Nigaglione to join me up here, because she's done the bulk of the work on engaging the community in the design. Schematic design is the time to do it. That's the time where we gather input from students. Our architects have been very mindful of engaging staff members, teachers, administration, making sure we've developed ed specs with administration, and also technical design guides, which help the general contractor follow those guides that we're giving them. We've also done a lot of community engagement, because it's very important for us at Presidio for the school district to understand that we're not the kind of company that comes in and does what we need to do and gets out. We are heavily invested in the community. It's the same reason that when Gustavo asked if we could sponsor the Christmas cards, it was an immediate yes. We've gone to, and I've got some pictures that I want to show you on some of the community engagements. So we've done, we did the ribbon cutting at the baseball and softball fields. That was for, that was to show the community that we are moving forward on the promises that you made during the bond referendum. We are also trying to ensure that we garner public support. So we did that. We've done some other events. We fed some students at Northwest Early College High School. We didn't feed them. We participated in their Thanksgiving luncheon. We were out there at Northwest Early College High School when they had the night with the lights. That is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And I hope we continue that as we go through the bond program for them and we build that new school for them. We've done community engagement through design charrettes, and that's the next one, where our architects, our design teams come out. We have an hour or two, of just discussion with the teachers, discussion with students. We just try to gather as much input as we can, so that as we're building the schematic, as the design teams are building the schematic design, all that input is taken into account. We also did something here local at the administration building, because I was impressed. What impressed upon me was that we have a lot of folks that work in the central office. We were really concentrating out at the campuses, but we never did anything for central office. And I know a lot of folks that work here, also live here, and raise children here. So we bought some pie. We did just a kind of a sit down and let's talk. And what are some of the questions you have, so that we get a lot of community input, but we also push out a lot of this information. And then, of course, the last but not least is we're trying to sign people up for the website, because that's the best way to get information. So at every event we've been at, we have a QR code where they can log in, they can register through an email, they get a confirmation. Then every time after that we update that, they get an email saying, hey, there's an update to the website, go and look, and so that they can get that information as well. Now, on the next slides, I have all the information that is project specific, and I can go through that if you want, but I don't necessarily have to if you don't want me to go through it.
I think if it's okay with the board, well, the good thing, and thank you, Presidio, for having to deal with me sometimes, but I think over time, I think we're developing a really good model on how we're going to get the community engaged, and we continue to think of ideas. And so if there's any ideas from the board to get more community engaged, or any ways we could provide this information, because we want to be fully transparent and we want to make sure that we're doing what we promised. And so any ideas are helpful. But I think Presidio, you all have been doing really well in this community. A lot of the feedback we've gotten, and I think we're creating and we're adding more that's going to really not only educate the community, but at the same time transform.
So that's our desire, right? It's in the end, it's how are we going to be able to transform this for the benefit of the student? And that's really why we've built the team that we've built, because I make sure that they are engaged. They understand their why we're out here. And the reason that we're out here is all for the children. It's all for the students. And so we're very mindful to keep our architect and our design teams in line with that, as well as our construction managers. And, we have some exciting dates. So the way we do it is we give a quarterly update to the board, then we go to CBAC and give a quarterly update, and then we have a community meeting and have a quarterly update. And we want to continue that because we want to make sure that we are available for any input and also pushing information out, and it's not misinformation.
Mr. Ortiz, you mentioned a big, huge community meeting. What was the date on that?
We had the community meeting, but it's January 16th.
And then on January 28th, the architects will present the board.
To you. with
And
their
where would that
schematic design.
Where would that?
In a regular board meeting.
No, but where would the community meeting be?
So we thought about doing it here, but it might be a logistics nightmare, so we're working with the high school to give us some space.
And then the other question, on your quarterly, meeting that you have with the community,
Yes.
is it gonna be in January or it's going to?
January 13th is the
That would be-
CBAC, and then we're gonna piggyback off the January 16th presentation to do a community meeting. That will be not only where the architects will be available, but also Presidio as the bond management will give an update to the community.
And that's on the 16th.
That's on the 16th, same thing, yeah. And we're trying, we haven't been successful, and I'll be the first to admit that. Well, we had a couple community meetings after the last quarterly update that were poorly attended. So we're trying to find things that might bring the community out. And so I think having actually the architects there with their schematic design presentation will bring a lot more people out so where we can start pushing the information.
And it's also, because before it was, each campus had theirs, it's hopefully that, you know, if you're taking your kids to Deanna Davenport and then they're gonna go to AMS, it's like it'll be like a whole, open house type of thing.
Open house,
Mr.
right.
President, maybe?
Okay, go ahead.
Sir Ortiz, I know you mentioned that there's a possibility you can break every project and give us information on every project where we stand on the schedule.
Yes.
I would like to see the schedule, schematic design, design development, construction documents, to see how we can help you really push these projects forward. I mean, in my opinion, we're 7 months past the bond. I would like to see a little more. And I know you're following a process and it's working, but I would like to see how we can help you really push it a little faster. I was concerned with the community the last time we met at the high school that there was very little input.
Right.
Very little people, and I think we as board members need to really talk to the people that we know, the people who are part of the committee, and really ask them to be present because they're the voice, they're the people that have kids in our district. And honestly, I think the ideal time for you to make that presentation will be on a Saturday morning, to be honest with you.
Right, right, and we're open to that.
And if you like, we'll bring the burritos and we'll have some chocolate or something.
Yeah, lupitas.
Well, what would be a good idea too is maybe the 16th, we need to make sure we blast that out. And I think when we come back with the schematic design, then we could have maybe a Saturday event and allow those. But I think the opportune time right now is to make sure we get as many people on the 16th to be able to see this and showcase.
I think a lot of people are more visual, so when they see schematic design, conceptual designs and things like that, they're more apt to understand what's going on and things like that. The renovations are not that visual, but we will have a clear, as our architects are going through and walking alongside the general contractors, they're developing that whole scope of work. They know that the three big ones are safety, security, roofing, and HVAC, but there's a lot of other things that we need to address to bring them all up to code.
And I might add, when we talked about the December 10th meeting, when we were looking at it, one was to develop a more intense workshop, especially for the newer board members. But we could also do that under the onboarding and really bring in, you know, the bond side, the finance side. That way, if there's any questions, it's more like an onboarding, and then we would have Presidio there and others.
And do a deeper dig.
Yeah, do a deeper dig.
Right.
Mr. President, may I make no comment, make another comment? Mr. Ortiz, one of the things that I'm a little concerned is, are we going through the same process with all deferred maintenance projects? Are we also presenting to the community and we are?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
And we're allowing them
Yeah, they will be there the 16th as well, so anybody that comes to visit can see new projects and all the renovations and all the deferred maintenance at the same time.
Mr. President, may I make a comment? I don't know if you wanna, if we could, ask the principals from the schools, the parent liaisons, get everybody involved through Class Dojo so that everybody gets that, information. That's one of the ways that I get informed as to what's going on in the school. And I think that'd be a great way to get parents involved.
And we work with the principals on that so that they can get announcements before the end of the year, and they've been very helpful at providing that information out, so we'll make sure.
Right.
Do you have a lot of people showing up for your schematics for the, because I know that they're taking place like at Davenport and AMS and possibly CMS, right?
Yes.
So what is the people that show up, is it a good crowd?
It's usually about 10 people. It's really on those, it's a kind of a steering committee, so the principals choose like the representative for first grade and second grade and a coach, and there's usually a couple students as well. And so we're trying to get a good mix. But we also, we do that,
right?
but we also do big community meetings where we invite.
When we had the original community charrettes, we had over 60 people attending each one of the campuses. Then we're having the follow-up steering committee meeting, and there's parents and community members that are also part of those committees. And then again, we'll be back on the 16th, and we plan to do another large community meeting in March. We also plan to do another charrette meeting at the end of January and first week of February. And we're also going to start kicking off the furniture selection committee. That starts in January. There was a question Ms. Barnes brought up during the ed specs. So everybody will have a chance to test everything, chairs and desks and everything else. So
Yeah, that will be more like a furniture fair. We'll have vendors come in and set up furniture, and you can sit on it and look at it.
what do you think works? Yeah.
And one other thing, based on what Mr. Martinez said, if we could get a little bit more detailed on the projects that you've done, as far as how much has been, because you're giving us an overall, but if it could be a little bit more detailed as how much has been spent, what has been done type thing?
Yeah, and I think you'll, when we bring the schematic design, you'll have a more of a comprehensive understanding of exactly what they're going to address, especially on the renovation project. And then they'll also bring like a budget, like if they're on budget or not.
We'll be doing an onboarding too. Hopefully we can do
Mr. President, real quick. A schedule identifying, like I mentioned, schematic design, site development, when are we gonna be complete? You give those to the architects, I'm sure they will provide you that information.
Yeah. So
that will help a lot.
So I don't know, it's slide 10 is more of slide 10 shows where we're at. So we had on 10/22, we had the design notice to proceed, and then we have the estimated total duration. But we're going to begin refining that once we meet the schematic design, and then move into the next phase of the design, which would be the design documents.
Is it that one that you're projecting?
What's that?
Are you referring to that one that you're projecting?
Yes.
We don't have that one.
Yes, we do. It's not page 10 though, our number is a little bit different.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
Each block is 2 months.
And you have the budget page today encumbered.
I do have a quick question. So some of the feedback that I've been getting from the community, I feel like they feel like the new buildings are all we're really focusing on, and the deferred maintenance is not, it's kind of being pushed to the back burner. So I wanted to relay that concern to you guys, because of course deferred maintenance is something that we've struggled with in the district for a long time, and we don't want those campuses to feel like they're really not getting the attention that they deserve. So if we could get an update maybe of what deferred maintenance has already been done at those campuses, or what we've started on, and when we're looking to complete, like you said, the HVAC and the roofing things, just so that we have an idea of what we're
Yeah, and I think that would be better if we did like a deeper dive into it, because I can give you an overview. Like right now, we haven't done anything as far as deferred maintenance, with the exception of the technology upgrade at Reyes, and then we're doing, of course, the WebEx, and so.
That's great.
And we're waiting for the design professionals to walk and put their construction documents together, and then we will have a more detailed of exactly what's going to be addressed at each school. But we have been gaining input from the campuses, because we may have our idea of what has to be done, but they live, they breathe there. We covet their input so that we are sure that we stretch every dollar and maximize it.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
So Ortiz, I do like your slide. However, once again, I want to tie them to dates.
Okay.
Just 3 months, 4 months, I mean, it could be 3 months after today or 3 months, very specific. We need
Okay.
to hold them responsible for giving us a schedule that we need to follow.
Okay, and we have that, and we can provide that.
Thank you.
Anybody else? If not, I'll take this to the next item. And can you read the next two items so that way we can take them, they're sort of related. Go ahead and read the next two items.
Thank you.
Item 5F, discussion and recommendation regarding board evaluation, superintendent's evaluation calendar. And 5G, discussion and recommendation for Lone Star governance dates, presenter Dr. Pedro Alavis.
So in regards to this, one of the discussions we had from the last evaluation was developing the evaluation calendar. Pretty much what we want to do is to make it more consistent, and then talking about Lone Star governance. There is a 2-day training that's required by the board. With January 17th and 18th work while I finish some discussion here. The goal is to have, the board evaluation phase, the pre-evaluation where the superintendent would bring to us a workshop, and then we would do the evaluation, and then after the evaluation we would convene to see if we need to look at next year's evaluation. When we have new board members, we would go through an evaluation workshop. And so that would be the evaluation and the discussion we've had there. Then Lone Star governance would be a 2-day training. Right now, if 17th and 18th don't work on January, we could, 24th, 25th is another option. January?
Well, I like the 6th. So President, I like the 16th and the 17th, or the 17th and the 18th.
I do know that.
I'm not available. I have my job, my board meeting. I did it for Friday, and then we go afternoon, but it's all Monday and Saturday.
So we're looking
I
at.
guess the main,
24th, I'm available. Any other options for what?
The 24th or 25th?
24th.
I'm available both. Lily, would you have?
That's also Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
17, 18, and 24, 25?
Yeah. Will that work? I know.
Either one, I'll
Okay.
take it out.
So the only one is 17th and 18th, right? Are you okay with 24th and 25th? 24th and 25th. We'll schedule it for that. Then this is really an intense training, a 2-day training. It's gonna have us focus on student outcome goals, make sure we're okay with the ones we have. We could adjust, we could keep, but then that's gonna be part of the evaluation process. So the 24th and 25th, we'll schedule.
And that would be a region?
Probably here, if we can. No? Oh, it's gonna be with other.
No, it'll just be with us.
So we
If
could
it's
do it
with
here.
us, we could do it here.
We could do it here.
I think, talking to, the facilitator, she will work out the logistics.
Can we
I'll be in
try?
El Paso, hopefully west.
I certainly hope it'll be in El Paso. I'm only taking a day off.
So, with that, we'll aim for that. And this is gonna be a lot of insight, and then you'll see how the progress measure and everything. So, I guess that's it for those two items. Okay. I will take us to the next item.
Item 5,
No, go ahead.
item 5H, discussion and recommendation regarding the Public Facility Corporation, presenter Rudy Mejia and Arnold Ventura.
You wanna do a quick rundown? One is, there's some of the board members that were here at that meeting, or the new board members, but, also today's meeting.
Good evening, for the record, Arnold Cantu with the law firm Cantu Harding Montoya and Rudy Mejia with Legal Haven Advisors. Today, prior to the board meeting, the PFC, the Canapio ISD Public Facility Corporation, had its inaugural meeting, its organizational meeting, wherein the board approved the bylaws, the articles of incorporation, and other administrative matters. That was the second part of a two-part process that was started in July or June, I can't quite remember, when I was here the last time making the presentation and having the school board, as it was constituted then, approve a resolution creating the PFC. So, now that the PFC is created for the benefit of new board members and in the interest of time, I'll make a quick summary of what a PFC is. A public facility corporation, it's a non-profit corporation that's created by a school district. Whereas a school district has powers under the Texas Education Code, a public facility corporation has powers that stem from nonprofit corporations, corporate power, right? So this is a separate entity that's been created, a public facility corporation. It has, under state law, the broadest possible powers to finance or to provide for the acquisition, construction, rehabilitation, renovation, repair, and placement and service of public facilities within the jurisdiction of the school district. Now, this is, in summary, another tool for the district to effectuate the acquisition of public facilities, whether it be a central office, classrooms, portable buildings, administration centers, or what have you. A PFC is one method by which a district can finance or acquire that property. There are currently, in the industry right now, two examples, two kind of common scenarios that we're seeing with public facility corporations. The first, which we described back in July, would be a lease revenue obligation. In that situation, let's say the district had land. They could transfer that land to the public facility corporation. And the public facility corporation could issue bonds. Now, this, again, is just a general scenario. A PFC that issues bonds is not impacting the tax rate or the debt capacity of the school district. It is not, it cannot impact the credit rating of the district. The PFC in this situation would issue bonds and acquire the money to construct or to rehabilitate a building, right? So imagine the district owns land, they transfer that land to the PFC. The PFC then issues debt to build a building. That debt, because the PFC does not have tax power, does not have the authority to levy taxes, would be coming from the revenue of the lease. It would be leasing that building, once it's created, back to the district. And the district would use its general funds, its M&O, to pay rent. That would move the debt obligation from the INS to the M&O. That's one scenario that has kind of been seen in the past. I believe El Paso ISD did something very similar, and Canapio did something similar as well for the last administration building. Another option that we're seeing more, or is becoming more common lately, has to do with teacher housing, right? A lot of school districts in very urban areas where the cost of living is very high have been able to partner with private entities, with developers, to do a P3 agreement. In that situation, the developer, if they had an apartment complex or some other building, would transfer the land to the PFC so that they own it. And the PFC would act as a landlord. The benefit to the developer there is that because a PFC is a tax-exempt entity, its property is also tax-exempt. So a developer who partners with the PFC in this situation would receive a tax exemption on that property. That is a very tangible value to the developer, and they're willing to pay for it. So what we're seeing is, in order to serve a public purpose, some districts are creating teacher housing, multifamily units, and creating agreements with these developers to not only financially incentivize the district to partner, but also to provide a certain number of units within that multifamily property at discounted rates for teachers, right? So in this way, what a lot of the districts in the fast growth areas are doing is bringing in P3 development, bringing in private developers, incentivizing them to build for the district. And so these are, like I said, becoming more common now, but these are two scenarios. Again, this is only for illustrative purposes. The reason that the PFC is potentially beneficial to the district is because the PFC has the powers to contract, the powers to go out into the private sector that school districts just don't have under the current statutory regime. So,
can I encompass that real quick?
Sure.
So I think overall, the main objective is, as we know today, parking is horrible. This is an option. We've got a couple million for this building. We could probably make another couple million. That at the middle school is one of the site locations we've talked about in the public. The question is, how do we create some type of maybe public-private partnership where we could move central office to AMS? As we know, the outlets there, and there's other stuff where there could be potential retail at the bottom, and then at the top would be central office. We're creating revenue stream. There's different scenarios, but what we want to do is that's the main objective. I mean, it might just be us moving this building over there and that's it. But there's other options, so let's have professionals look at it. We didn't discuss over the objectives. We're going to be meeting in a month, I believe. And then we'll provide, once the minutes are approved by the committee, we'll provide that to the board. But I think overall it's just brainstorming ideas to make sure that the taxpayer is not burdened by a new central office location.
Mr. President, does this public facility corporation, does it need to have a separate board? Or are we, MPUSD Board of Trustees, are part of that corporation?
That's a good question, Mr. Martinez. The PFC board, when it was approved back in July, named 3 initial directors who were members of the board. Statutorily, at least in the law, you need to have at least 3 board members. They don't have to be members of the board, of the school board, to serve on the PFC board. In this case, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Malavis, we had 3 board members and then 2 appointees of the school board at a subsequent date that were appointed. I believe that they are both private citizens, private sector.
One, Patsy Mendoza,
Patsy.
and then Monica Castro.
And now the PFC board serves at the leisure of the school district board. So, if basically what the PFC does is in service of the school district. So the school district has say over who's appointed, who's not.
Who are the 3 trustees that are serving?
It was the officers and so it's me, Lucy, and Cindy.
Correct. That's I have to pull it up. Armando Rodriguez, Lucy Borrego, and Cindy Zuniga.
And we'll do a deeper dive too on this, especially after the January meeting. That way, just come up with different options. We'll do a deeper dive.
President, I know, Trustee Rodriguez, you had a question.
I just wanted to know why we decided. I know that you kind of explained it, right? I read an article where it was saying that the contractors, builders are trying to get out of paying taxes, and it's a loophole for them to go ahead and, you know. I was seeing it as a housing, part of it, and you just explained, and I'm like, I don't think we have a housing in here in Cantillo, I think we do houses. That's the way I was looking at it. And now that you explained it as far as it's more than.
I mean, there's different options. I mean, there's people that have team up with the housing authority. We don't have affordable housing. Like, let's say at other properties, like CMS or, even Diana Adams, like, they need affordable housing. So there's options where we could partner up with somebody either on the private side or the public side, and then create an extra revenue for the district to be able to offset, and pay our teachers well or stuff like that.
But would 20 units be worth it? Because they're not going to give us all the affordable
Oh,
housing.
no, we don't.
They're going to be making money.
No, we, depending on how that, and we would be looking at what's the optimal interest of the district. We might own half of it. So there's different ways. It's so I think right now it's just, the next meeting we'll be able to brainstorm, but the main objective right now is on that, if there's other possible options.
And Mrs. Ortega, and then Board Member Ortega, you do bring up a good point that if you research a PFC, you'll see a lot of articles about multifamily housing. I think you mentioned the word loophole. In the last legislative session, that loophole was closed for public facility corporations. So it used to be that a public facility corporation could do housing, all over the place. Now it's very specific that the benefit and the objectives need to be within the boundary of the school district that sponsors the PFC. So it's a good point that you bring up, because right now on Google, you're going to pull up a lot of articles that were written before the legislative changes were made in the last session. So a lot of the complaints in those articles were addressed already. And I give those two examples only as an indicator of what we're seeing out here. The reason that we're doing this is because it's another tool in a toolbox. It allows the district to get creative in ways that a school district can't move. A public facility corporation that has the power, corporate powers, can contract with private entities and do these sorts of things under the purview of the school board.
And how much does that corporation charge the school board? I mean, the school district?
This corporation is a separate entity, but you may consider it sort of a committee of the school board. The charge that the only charge that I've seen on this PFC was $300 to file, and so that was out of my pocket.
Okay. So with that, we do have the consent item, or if we're okay, we'll take a deeper dive, but that will take us to.
I just want to make sure, so I just found out about the January 6th meeting. Did that work for everybody else for the PFC?
It's for the PFC.
I know. Oh, but just for that committee, not for all of us. Got it. Thank you.
So you're talking about going into a deeper dive on this at a later date, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
As a board.
Yeah. With that.
You had mentioned the January meeting, so I thought it was the January 6th.
May I make a comment real quick? I know that this board tried to pass a bond twice before it finally successful. But there is a possibility that if we did not have the money, something that we could have gone after this corporation. Okay, and actually that was the only avenue that we have left, to be honest with you. So this is also another tool that we can use to leverage our money, and we can sell land and use that money to create facilities for it.
Yeah, it's an interesting mechanism that I think will be guided in the right direction and the board will be abreast. With that, let's take it to the next agenda item, which is the consent agenda. And if it's okay, I'll postpone it to the next meeting. What I would like to make sure is that it was set for the record then. Is it set for the record?
Are you talking about the minutes?
Yeah, the minutes.
Yeah, I want it set for the record.
Yeah, that when you made because we can't.
Right, I didn't know because it was my first meeting and I didn't have all the Robert's rules at that point. That's why I didn't understand that we had to say
Yeah.
for the record.
Yeah, I mean, you could say it for the record, but the question is, like, we can't write minutes that were not happened that day.
But they did happen that day.
Did you say for the record?
No, because I didn't know. I didn't have the Robert's rules.
What did you say?
I asked Mr. Blanco if we could make a policy.
But that's
And
not,
he said yes.
I would like the meeting to check though, because I believe I might have said for the
well,
record.
and that's why,
I don't know that for sure, but
we have to make sure that the minutes reflect the meeting that occurred. So, if Adrian, you could check those and then we'll approve it at the next meeting and correct them if they did. If they didn't, we can't.
Yeah.
That's what happened at that meeting. So, if that's okay with the board, we're just gonna take no action and then we'll bring them back to the next board meeting. Yeah? I'll take us to the next meeting. And also on the consent agenda, I forgot to recognize, finance. We had no findings in our audit. Great work. 8 years in a row, so, great work. I know it was on the consent, but, obviously it was, appreciate the work that goes behind that. With that,
Item number 8, meeting adjournment. Time is 9:36 p.m.
Happy holidays.